Good morning, Janine. It's supposed to be sort of warm and breezy today here too. Like they're saying like low 90s right now. So that's a little boring, but it's supposed to be a little warmer tomorrow and then suddenly it gets cooler on Tuesday and I guess by the end of the week maybe some rain. This is sort of our wet season anyway, so not entirely unexpected. I think it's time you scratch my head. What do you think? No? No respect. I was beginning to wonder if I'd locked up there, Janine. The viewer count hasn't changed in a while. And nobody was saying anything. It's a slow start today. Guess they're not totally locked up here. I guess I just had we're 11 people in here now, and they're gone. I know it's just you and me, Janine. I don't know about you. I'm not naturally chatty. We need Rhonda. I know, right? I'm wondering if I set up the live stream wrong. There we go. Okay, there's a second person. We were wondering if we're having a problem here. Nobody's here. Nobody got anything going on. How you doing, Sharon? I was just about to suggest shutting the live stream down, try to restart it. Good morning, Todd. Maybe it's just going to be a slow start today. What do you think? Slow start? I am well, Todd. Thank you. How are you? It's a nice Sunday morning. Beautiful day out, start of a weekend. Can't complain, right? Having my cat sneeze all over me. What more could a guy want? It's apparently today it has been Bearcat. Welcome back, by the way. Haven't seen you in a while. All right. So what are we going to do today? How are we going to entertain ourselves? You know, these live streams, it's guided by where you want to go with it. Good morning, Gene. Yeah, I guess we're going now here. I don't know. It must have been an extra long commercial or something. Well, we're glad you're back. So what do you do at a ski resort in the summer? I mean, that might be a weird question. What do they do there during the summer? Or is it just seasonal work? Any new rocks? No, not for a couple weeks. I'm going over today, and we're gonna check check to see what they got. Kara sent me a whole bunch of pictures uh, about a week ago of new stuff that she'd gotten. So looking forward to seeing it in person. She's to that point now. She knows what I like, and she'll show me what she has. Before I get there to keep my interest up. I guess. Yeah, she's looking after me, or I guess so. I'm looking after her. I guess they've said before that I pay their electricity bill. I got to get out and mow today for the first time this season. It's really funny how the lawns here in Texas work because in the winter they just go brown, and you think, oh, nuts, I killed it. But every spring it comes back, and about 2 weeks ago it was completely brown and it's completely green now, and I got to start mowing. or it's going to start getting out of control. So probably do a little of that. Might work in the yard on the planter a little bit. I don't know. I just got a email message this morning telling me that my refund for my computer has been approved and it's on the way. So hopefully we can get that new box in here. I wish they could have done that a little bit better. I get it. They don't want to have have me send my box to them and them simultaneously send their box to me and hope they cross in the mail somewhere. I get that, but I don't know why they can't offer me a replacement rather than just a refund. I had to get the refund, and then once I get the refund, I can order a new unit. It just takes twice as long, and I don't know. I wish they did it the other way, but I don't know. We'll see. You mean the Cottonland Castle? I ordered the computer from Newegg, but it's an Acer computer. I've had Acer before. It's a good computer. In fact, that computer right there is an Acer computer, and I've had that. I've been here for almost 6 years now, and I had it 3 or 4 years before that. So and it still works good. That's my vlogging computer, and I need to make sure that it always works. And so, this one's just going to go into retirement. We'll probably reassign it to something else, but it won't be as critical of a role as it is right now. Last I heard on the castle, Chip and Joanna Gaines bought it. They fixed it up. At one point, there was talk of selling it, but that didn't happen. At one point, they were giving tours of it, and you could, pay and go in and look around. And now, right now, I don't know what's going on. I'm not hearing that they're allowing tours anymore, and I don't know what the total deal, what the deal is. Maybe that's one of those things I got to go out and research because it is such an interesting part of the story in this in Waco. Hey, Deeps, all right, good to see you. I am considering other options for storage of stuff because I've got so much stuff that I want to keep on hard drives and stuff like that, and you know it's important. So I don't know. I got to figure out something. I've kind of always been resistant to the cloud because it always seems to me there's like a hacking issue. Somebody getting in there and hacking your data. Now, I guess it depends on what I put there. But if there was some personal data in there, I don't know if I'd want someone hacking into it. You know, I got a pretty good firewall here, and so it'd be very hard for people to steal data. And honestly, the YouTube videos, that's only a small part of it. Oh, none of the flooding is hit here. That's all in like what Alabama. Well, there was a lot of flooding down in Houston. That's right down by the ocean, well, the Gulf of America, and so yeah, they got pounded there. But no, we didn't really get a whole lot of rain. And there's been some flooding. What what Arkansas, that kind of area over there, kind of in the south, Tennessee, Kentucky. I think they got a lot of tornado activity going through there, Oklahoma. But no, it all kind of moved past us. It kind of went around us. Yeah, I'm looking at solid state local drives, Bearcat. That's one of the things I'm considering because the computer itself is going to be the first one I've ever had with a solid state drive on it. So I'm eager to find out how that works. And I saw they had like a 28 terabyte drive. And I'm not sure if it wasn't really clear whether it was plates or platters or solid state, but that's a pretty big drive. Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I got one 5 terabyte drive that's just for the vlog. And for a while there, I had not only every video I'd produced, but all of the little video clips that got edited into final product a couple of years ago. I started running out of room though, so I had to start getting rid of some of that. Yeah, I'm kind of in a higher area too. So yeah, I'm not really terribly worried about flooding at my place either. That's a pretty low. In fact, it's funny. The street going across the street is tilted down, so if water runs down my driveway to the street, it doesn't go roll in the gutter. It goes across the street and gets into the gutter across the street. So yeah, water's naturally running away from my house. So that's a good thing. There's a few houses around here though that are at the low part of things, and then the house is significantly lower than the street. And I wonder how houses like that don't flood. Yeah, well, I need to be checked up on, definitely. But yeah, nothing here, We'll see. It's still early in the season. I hope to get a little good rain. I definitely like it when that happens. Yeah, that's all positive things, You'll with moving parts, you're always going to have a problem with a hard drive. So SSD, I agree with you. I'm looking forward to seeing how it works. I was really surprised how quickly that computer boot up. I compare it to this computer. It takes 3 minutes for this one to boot up, and about 10 minutes before it's really ready to work. So yeah, definitely taking a serious look at the solid state drives. Well, I'm going to go over to the rock shop today, and that's always kind of fun. I'll have something. I'll get something cool. I know because Kara sent me a bunch of pictures of things. Let me see if I can quickly scroll through the things that she sent me here. Yeah, see what I mean? She just sent me a whole bunch of pictures of like different things that they had just recently picked up. She knows the kind of things I like, so that thing's really cool. I like how spiky that thing is. So if that's still around, I may walk off of that. That's kind of cool too. Let's see. That's kind of pretty too. I like that kind of stuff. I like the yellow that's in that kind of, and see that yellow like right there. That's really kind of cool looking. I want to take a closer look at that. Kind of a cool looking little geode. Not sure exactly what that is, but that's kind of funky looking. Oh, and apparently that one reacts to the ultraviolet light. So I like those. That's pretty cool. Looks like quartz with tourmaline or something like that in it. That looks like that plant from Little Shop of Horrors, the Audrey 2. Tip it sideways. Unfortunately, I've tipped it sideways. My phone's going to tip it sideways too, but that's kind of a cool thing. Oh, look at that thing. That thing's huge. That thing's about the size of a softball, looks like. And she even gave me like video of it too. I was a little perplexed with the little label on the bottom that says "Made in Pakistan," because you think rocks aren't being made; they're in the ground that way. So I have to question that. It might mean it just means it might have been just processed in Pakistan or something. Yeah, I agree with you, Bearcat. Hard drives are a ticking time bomb. Oh yeah, what kind of stuff do you got, Deeps? I have told Kara that I would be interested in like raw precious stones and rare metals and stuff like that too. So she does kind of look for me. In fact, she found me a garnet about the size of a golf ball a few weeks ago, it took me a minute to figure out what the once she told me what it was, and I said, "Oh man, I got to get that. I got to go get that because I told her to look for that kind of stuff." That's what I think. But I don't think it's. But it doesn't say mined. It says made. So let me pull it open because I got a photo of it that shows. Oh, and this way, not Pakistan, Brazil, but same thing. You can kind of see on there. I don't know. It says made in Brazil. It doesn't say mined in Brazil. I don't know. That might just be what it means, but and a lot of the stuff in my collection I do know came from you know mines in Morocco or Pakistan or yeah, that's why I said Pakistan because I got a few things that are um, from Pakistan. I got a piece of grape agate recently too. Not sure what a can is that candle or candy quartz? Candle quartz. Huh? Does that just mean it's like a long thin piece? Oh wow, that's cool. That'd be cool. I'd like to see what that looks like. Yeah, I've thought about coins too, but I like stuff kind of more raw too. I could just like get a gold nugget or a nugget of silver. I mean, I'll give you an example here. Here's an example of a non-rare metal. I just have a nugget of. Oops. Get back here. Back into live streaming position here. See, this is something I have. This is just a nugget of copper. Probably weighs 4 or 5 ounces. Kind of raw on the backside and then kind of polished a little bit on the front side. But, I wouldn't mind having a chunk of gold or a chunk of silver or something, maybe not that big. I don't know. That's 4 ounces of gold. What's gold running at $1,100 an ounce or something right now? That'd probably be a very expensive piece. Yeah, I guess it depends on how big it is. Yeah, me too about the diamond, Tracy. I specifically told her that, I said, you may not have picked up on it, but there's kind of a little sub interest that I've picked up a few things. I've got a couple of opals, I've got a ruby, I've got a piece of turquoise, aquamarine. Okay, yeah, I'm way off then. 3,200, yikes. Yeah, so, a chunk of gold this size, if this is about 4 ounces, that's going to be what, $12,000, $13,000? Yeah, maybe not. It would quickly become the most expensive piece in my collection. And then in fact, at $13,000, it would double the value of my collection. Just one piece. But I told her diamonds, in the raw form, maybe even not even gemstone quality, just kind of a raw diamond. I mean, how cool would that be? I've heard that there's places around here that let you do that too, Gene. I've actually thought I may do that at some point. Go just to some of these little places that'll let you mine and see what fun. It'd be a fun vlog, right? Yeah, I think Kara has some of those in the store. I've looked at those too. She has some sort of a weird variant of a diamond. Yeah, yeah, me too, Tracy. I mean, yeah, if I could find something to look really, really cool, obviously all the better. But yeah, I'd be satisfied. I mean, I started off, with some things that I got little ones and I got bigger ones and I got bigger ones and stuff like that. So I do. I have digital copies of all the receipts and photos of all the rocks are on my Facebook page, and including the names. And I have a database of when I bought them, how much I paid for them. So I have an exact value of what the collection is worth. Every piece when I get it gets a photograph, a portrait, if you will. Meteorite hit a auto repair place in New Jersey. I didn't hear that. Yeah, there's Bite. He's the buddy. Yeah, I did some mining for gold at Sutter Mill when I went there. Didn't really find anything. I believe there's probably still gold there, but I didn't find anything of interest. Off the top of my head, I don't remember how many I have, but I could easily find that out. Like I said, I've got an Excel spreadsheet where the date I bought it, the amount I paid for it, and the name of the rock are there. So, but like I said, every rock is inventoried in my Facebook page. Here, we'll go look at that if you want. Ah, cat fur. So, all right, I can cut away here. Modern technology. Okay. All right. So that's actually one of the first pieces I had. I've had that for many years, because I love the rocks even from the beginning. And so when I got this one, yeah, I was probably 12 or 14 years old when I got this one. So that one's been around. That's a piece of aquamarine, kind of a rough piece. I got another piece that's clear, almost very much like a crystal, almost like glass. I love the malachite on this. I got another piece of malachite that's absolutely amazing. I thought that was pretty cool. That was one of the first things I bought at the Rock and Mineral Shop. Was this celestite? I mentioned a few minutes ago that there were certain things that I bought one, then I bought a bigger one, then I bought a bigger one. This is an example. This is the first of three pieces of celestite I have. That's kind of cool. That's one that's really great with the ultraviolet reaction. Another one that kind of has an ultraviolet reaction. Got another one. In fact, this one really pops under the shortwave light too. It does a cool thing under the shortwave, not just the long wave light. That was the first garnet I got. That was probably $5 or $10. Some another piece of glowing fluorite. I saw these in there. I'm kind of intrigued by them. The labradorite does some really cool things. Big. I got a few pieces of that. There's a big one. That one's kind of cool. That's something I found myself. That's that piece of malachite I was telling you about that I really like. That one, that's really amazing looking under the sun. Something else that glows under a black light. Obsidian. I've wanted a piece of obsidian for a long time, so that was cool to get that. That's one of my opals. Petrified wood. Really pretty geode, both halves of it. That's my ruby. Smoky quartz. This is another one that's really beautiful under the sunlight. Those little red crystals just sparkle like you can't believe. I like that one too. Pink Lemurian quartz. This piece is gorgeous. There's another opal. It's called a halite opal. It just looks like a clear piece of crystal, but when you hit it with the black light, it goes this brilliant green color. That's part of my fossil collection. Another piece of petrified wood. That's some amber with some ants in it. Another piece of amber with a bug in it. This is cool too. This is just zinc pyrite, and sometimes called fool's gold, but it has these cool little quartz crystals growing in it. That's a nice piece. That's one of my museum grade pieces. That's a big amethyst cluster. That's probably about 14, 16 inches tall. I like that one. That one almost looks like a terrarium. It's like you got it's like a weird, get the soil on the bottom and then it's just like some habitat in there. That core of that crystal is so clear. That's a cool piece. That's another piece I got that does something amazing under a shortwave light. This one too. Another thing that does something great under a black light. Another one of my museum grade pieces. That one weighs 20 pounds. That's really pretty too. I had my eye on that one at the shop for a long time. Finally ended up taking it home with me. Okay, I'm getting bored with that. Because that was about half the list. Yeah, that's something I really like too. I knew there were rocks that did that, and definitely wanted to invest in such a thing. In fact, the first rock show that I went to ever, that was a couple of years ago. We're coming up on another one too in just a few weeks, so we'll be vlogging that definitely. But the first one I ever went to is when I really got a chance to see some really cool UV specimens, and there was somebody there who was selling lights too, and so I got my first flashlight there, and started my collection. Then it was after that I started going and visiting Gallery 11. Yeah, I really like that one, Dietz. That one's an amazing piece. Here, let me go get that one because that's worth a closer look. Let's see, remember where it is here. That one up here? No, I don't think so. Oh, there it is. You know you got a reasonably sized collection when you actually have to look for it, and sometimes it takes you a minute to find something. Yeah, see, there's that piece right there. I mean, look at all the color in that, all the rainbow in that. That thing's just gorgeous. And it's funny how clear it is. You can see the light behind me through the glass, reflected through the glass. That's a trip. So yeah, I like that one. Well, I'm for the most part, I try not to get duplicates of the same thing because I got limited space. I mean, I've built these racks. This one back here for the rock collection. That one over there for the rock collection. I'm quickly running out of room, and so I'm trying to hold off on like getting multiples of the same thing. I want to have kind of a real widely diverse collection. There are exceptions because, like I said, some of that celestite, I got three pieces of that. But like I said, I can't wait to see what Kara has out there today. What would you like to see? Me go into the place where I do my own mining? Because if I do that, I'll definitely mine that. I'll definitely film that, and I will film the rock show too. Absolutely. Because yeah, that's honestly the main reason I'm as active as I am. I'm kind of a person who just kind of like sit around and watch TV, and the vlogging gives me an excuse to get out and see things. And so yeah, that's one of the reasons I kind of enjoy doing the vlogging is because it does encourage me. I've seen all sorts of really cool things. I've learned some cool things about my town, just by wandering around and looking at historical markers and checking out things. There's so much history around here because this state, Texas has been here, for 170 years, something like that. Middle State, and Waco has been here just about that long. 1849, I think, is when they founded Waco. It was cotton and it was cattle. And it was that suspension bridge that made it all possible, because that was the first bridge that you could cross the Brazos. And so that just made Texas or Waco a commerce center. And it's been, it has a really cool history, really colorful history, gunfights and tornadoes. I've heard there's like several places around here. Somebody said I think there's a place around here where you can um, dig for amethysts, and that'd be fun too. You made it all the way through Texas and you didn't stop. That's quite a feat. I think on the longest, from the end of the Panhandle all the way down to the Louisiana border at the ocean there, I think it's like 832 miles. Can even cross the state in one day in some cases. I guess it depends on where you go through. I really like Texas, so I'm glad I'm here. This is a place for me. It was funny when I drove to California a few years ago. I was on Route 66 for most of the way. Yeah, I'd like to actually probably. I know Jordan did a Route 66 vlog because we did some Route 66 stuff when he came with me to Texas the first time, and I wouldn't mind just getting out on the road, going on down Route 66, and just stopping wherever, anything that looks interesting. Hey, Lindex. Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be kind of fun, just to see what's out there. I've thought about doing that just around Texas too. Every time when I'm driving out on these old highways, because there's all sorts of little just farm roads all over the place out here, or just little kind of tiny highways that just connect these little towns together. One lane each side of the road kind of thing, and I'm seeing historical markers all over the place. There'll be a sign, historical marker 1 mile. One of these days, I kind of want to just get out on the road and stop by each one of those and see what they say. Never been to Indiana. It's a little bit more east than I've been. I've done a little. I spent some time in Florida. I've been to Florida. I've been to Alabama. I flew through New York once, but not much more like east of like Minnesota or a straight line down. I do want to go visit Louisiana though. Check out on uh, Mardi Gras. I think that'd be fun. And that wouldn't be such a horrible drive. That's probably a 5-6 hour drive or something like that. That's something that could be done. London, Texas. I think I've heard of London, Texas. I'm not sure exactly where it is. And of course, I did that vlog on in the city of West in Texas, which is 20-25 miles from here, about that chemical plant that exploded, killed a bunch of people. Went to the site. It was creepy because that was like 20 years ago, and there's still houses in the immediate area that are just foundation. Apparently, the explosion was so powerful that people felt the shaking here in Waco, which doesn't surprise me because I can feel the vibrations from when they test when SpaceX tests rocket in McGregor, and McGregor's about 20 miles from here too. I hear it too. You can hear the rumbling every once in a while. Hey Dot, welcome in. Welcome to the party. I hear it too. You can hear the rumbling every once in a while. Hey Dot, welcome in. Welcome to the party. Welcome back, Michael. I'm glad you're doing good and improving. That's a good thing. When was the last time I had a hangover? I don't know. I don't really get hangovers because I do like to have a drink or two, but I usually kind of know what my limit is, and I when I hit that limit, I say, okay, enough. So I don't get hangovers that much. I don't know, and I don't know even if I do drink, I don't remember getting a hangover. How about tomorrow? I don't know. Um, maybe. How about tonight? That'll give me 2 days to recover before I go back to work. Got to think about those things. Yeah, I got a bunch of friends at work. And it's weird too, as I kind of work my way up the corporate ladder and start to become more well known. I find people come up to me and they know who I am, and it's like I have no clue who they are. It's supposed to be warm and windy today. We're supposedly under a wind advisory, but I guess it's more supposedly east of here, but we're kind of right on the edge of it. They were saying the east side of Central Texas, and I'm looking out the window right now, and I do see the trees kind of blowing around a bit. So warm and windy, maybe low 90s. I haven't looked to see what his actual subscriber rate is. Let me check. I'm glad he's sticking with it. you know, I didn't think he'd stick with it if it didn't become popular real quick. I'm actually kind of impressed. He's got more videos out than I do already. So he's at 513 subscribers. He's got 1,700 videos. So he's about halfway to monetizing. Yeah, I don't know what his view rate looks like. I mean, it looks like a lot of his videos. Let's see. Let's see. Sometimes they'll tell you like popular videos here. Which ones? Yeah, see, it looks like most of the videos he's getting are, you know, between 20 and 40 views. So yeah, I mean, he's not really racking in the views. There's one that's 70. But if you get a chance, subscribe to him, watch his channel. I know he'd appreciate it. Well, I always thought that what he ought to do is he ought to market it to like dentists or doctors' offices because they could just put it on a loop and run it all day long on the screen and it'd have a real calming effect to their customers. But yeah, in offices too, you just put it on your screen and have that run all day. Well, when I started working at the place, they had a cafeteria. They shut it down a couple months ago because they were going to rebuild and expand it. So lately, they've been bringing in food trucks. I haven't been brave enough to hit the food trucks, but I've been hitting some kind of local restaurants around, getting sandwiches and stuff like that. I've been thinking about getting an electric generator, something that could power the whole house in a pinch, at least on a limited level. I had power go out. I don't know, a year ago, I think in the summer, and it was out for 2 days. And I found out actually how efficient my house is. One of the things the inspector said when they looked at this house before I bought it is this house is majorly insulated, and it's true. This house stayed comfortable for about a day and a half before it started getting a little annoying in here. Well, I mean, I was buying food at the cafeteria too, and you know, paying probably about the same thing that I would, pay when I go out. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but I like to have something hot and not something that's been nuked. I did that for many years, and I'm over that. And usually what I'll do is I'll go out and get a sandwich or something and nothing else. And I'll come back and get a Sprite or something out of the vending machine, and that'll be my lunch. So it's usually lunch is like 10 or 12 bucks. Granted, that's twice what it was 10 years ago, but that's where we are. No, I don't have a generator. Like I said, I've been thinking about a generator. Something that could power the whole house because that was no fun when the electricity was out and I had no AC in the middle of summer. It's like 95, 98 at night. There was also a point where the AC itself was out, and this house does actually really well with the ceiling fans. The combination of the insulation and the ceiling fans keep this house pretty comfortable, actually. Well, cold wouldn't really be the same issue with me because in a pinch I could sleep in here in the living room because the couch is a bed, and if I got the fireplace going, I can keep this room warm. Might be cold going to other parts of the house. Yeah, I actually can see into the future, Dot. I saw that comment. Yeah, no, it really is. I can see into the future. Yeah, that's my superpower. Well, see, every once in a while I touch the laptop, and because of that, I can kind of connect to other people's minds through the internet. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. Haven't done anything in the yard for in a little bit of time. I was last weekend was all about the computer, getting the computer going. As you can see, I've got it over kind of in its final place now. Oops, I'm always backwards on this here. So it's over where it is. Uh, that area is more or less cleaned up again. I had the desk over there when I was assembling things, but yeah, house is more or less back together now. I'm going to give Trump the benefit of the doubt and see what happens. I was concerned about the tariffs, but I've heard there's like 50 countries right now that want access to American markets that are coming to propose that they drop tariffs to zero. So I think that's what's going to happen here. Is this isn't Trump going out and trying to be a bully. This is Trump going out and saying, hey, these people are tariffing us. We want a level playing field. And so, We're going to do reciprocal tariffs. You have tariffs on us, we have tariffs on you. And a lot of these countries, they don't want that. They depend on American money. They depend on access to American markets. And as for China, I don't care what happens in China. China's the enemy. But does a solar power generator, does that only generate power via solar power, or okay, does it have a gas backup? Yeah, I've seen the vid. Have you seen the video of that helicopter tumbling out of? Can you imagine what was going on the people inside that as that helicopter was rotating, nose diving on the way down? That was stunning photo, a stunning video. I heard that he had radioed in that he was having fuel problems and needed to land for fuel. But losing power to the motors doesn't usually break the rotor off, and it looks like it came down without the main rotor and the tail rotor. It looks like the tail broke off because it looked like it was just the cabin that was tumbling. So I don't know, something catastrophic happened. But beyond that, I'm not sure. That was amazing. Yeah, it could very well be something like that, John. Like I said, you lose power, and granted, I'm not an expert at this, but you're capable of doing something called an auto gyro, which basically means you make the helicopter go down, nosedive down, and the wind hitting the blades makes the blades spin faster, and you can kind of pull up, and then you kind of do this up down down thing, and you can make a controlled crash. Uh, at least give yourself a chance. Uh, but without the blades, that's hard to do. Yeah, auto rotation. Right. I'm sorry. You're right. That's what it is. Sorry, I got the name wrong. Okay, so there's no gas tank on it. See, I would go with something that's solar power if there was a gas backup because the sun doesn't always shine. Yeah, yeah, those blades can be very dangerous, but yeah, I don't know. I choose not to speculate too much more because I'm going to wait and hear what actually happened. Yeah, my dad worked at McDonnell Douglas when I was born up until I don't know when I was 14 or 15. Then he moved to Northrop and was working on a black project for many years, which turned out to be the stealth bomber. It's 75 countries. Last I heard it was 50. That's great. That's what we want. And people will forget about these little bumps in the market right now while we get this straightened out. We're going to be so much stronger when we have free market, free access to everyone else's markets. Then they have free access to ours. All right, you checking out Bearcat? If so, it was good to see you again. Thank you for coming in. Hope you show up again. I saw that. Yeah, he insisted on a cognitive test. Donald Trump is proof that age doesn't have to be the issue. Because Donald Trump, I don't believe there's a much of a difference between the age of Trump and the age of Biden, but they're two different men. Oh yeah, they've been open up now for month and a half. I've been there three, four, five times since they reopened. In fact, I've been kind of ever since they closed the old shop, I found out almost immediately where the new one was going to be, and several times while they were closed, I was kind of going over to the shop and seeing what they'd done in there and watching them kind of transform the place. When I first looked at that store, I said, "Ugh, I don't know. I don't know if that's the place for you." But she turned it into a nice place, and in fact, about a week before they opened, I went over there on a day that they normally would have been open to see if they were there because I figured, getting this close to the end, they were probably going to be in the shop, and they were, and they saw me, and so I got like a free tour of the place a week before they opened. But yeah, it's a nice shop. Yeah, yeah, I picked up some nice things in there recently, and like I said, I'm going to go in there again today and see some new stuff because she sent me some pictures the other day of new stuff that they picked up. Well, what you do is you get points, and so you spend a certain amount of money and you get a certain amount of points. And I don't know. There's a weird. I don't know. If I were her, I would do a more easy to understand formula because she's got this weird calculation. It's like every $15 you spend, you get 100 points or something like that, and then every 100 points is worth I don't know. She gets some weird, bizarre calculation of how it works, but um, I what I've been doing lately is letting my points ride, and so so one of these points, I'm gonna walk in there and I'm gonna get something big for free. And she's a and there have been times where she's just found things that she says, "Oh, Breck would love this," and she gets it and gives it to me for free. So that's happened too. Oh yeah, she definitely knows to take care of me, and she does. And that's probably a pretty solid description there, Dot. I mean, I got a few bills, so I gotta split it between the Rock Shop, Home Depot, and the bills. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Now I owe money this year. I want to do something about that. I don't like owing. But I don't like getting a huge refund either. I like it to be kind of just neutral. Maybe you owe $20. Maybe they owe me $20. I got a special PayPal account for that. Dot. Hopefully next year I'll have a good deduction because I'm gonna try and deduct the new computer. That's a business expense, right? That's the main computer that do all my vlogging on. Without that, there's no vlog. So yeah, I can write that off. Yeah, I'm surprised how well she's handled that too. She brought in a couple of friends who are helping her run the store now. And so there's two women that I see. It's her and one of the two women who are in the store. Sometimes both of them are there. But she's been through a lot in the last few months. Like you said, it started off with a breakup, and then the decision to move the store and closing the store, moving everything to the new location, opening up the new store, and trying to make a go of it. Well, the funny thing is, I never really saw her mood go that bad. I mean, she. I don't know. I heard the whole story from it. I heard her version of it. I never talked uh, to him to get his side of it. Never got a chance to do that. But she seemed to kind of just take it, take it, you know, and absorb it. So I don't know. I'm not sure how old she's in her 30s. No, I don't want to. I don't want to be her rebound. She needs time to come to terms with this, and she needs to you know find somebody her own age. I'm too old for. I'm old enough to be her dad. No, she doesn't. She doesn't. She's a very strong person. I think another issue with her is I get the feeling she's really really liberal, and I don't know. I don't know if she would tolerate me if she knew how conservative I am. It does really show the difference between the left and the right, though. I know how liberal she is, and I don't care. Whatever. If she knew how conservative I am, it probably would be an issue. I mean, she'd have to accept, she'd have to accept that, there are going to be things we disagree with, but I don't know. I just don't see I don't see the ability to have the back and forth. Kind of, just based on the way sometimes liberals are with people who don't share their values. Not all liberals are that way, obviously, but some of them are. The really militant ones are. Well, that would be the concern too, because she'd have plenty of ammo. Well, I mean, I don't think he was a deadbeat guy. He definitely seemed to do carry his end of the business. Because what it was is he's a jeweler and she's kind of a crystal person. And so they built this store where, he did some like custom jewelry and she did the rocks, and there was just enough overlap there that, um, that they were able to do a successful business. They found Hackman's will. I didn't hear that. Yeah, I don't know. I never saw anything between them in this store that let me believe that anything was wrong. In fact, in the couple weeks, after the store reopened after the breakup, um, next couple times I went in there between then and when the store closed for the move, that he was there. He was helping her, you know, deal with inventory and deal with customers and stuff like that. And they seem to be getting along really well with each other. But I don't know. Maybe they put on a good show in for the customers. It's funny. I was at Home Depot the other day in the checkout stand, and the woman at the cashier was just totally ragging on Home Depot, and I'm thinking to myself, that's really unprofessional to be doing that in front of the customers. But that's what you got. And this wasn't a kid either. This was like an older woman. But see, that's also part of the reason that I never considered getting a job at Home Depot. I love Home Depot too much, and I wouldn't want to get wrapped up in the politics and start hating them. I considered working at Lowe's because I didn't really like Lowe's that much. I could live with forgetting about Lowe's, and then of course they got put on my Lowe's blows list, and that's it for them. We'll never set foot in the Lowe's again. I'm funny that way. You steal money from me, and that's it. We're over. Yeah, like, I don't really have a lot of inside information. Like I said, I heard her side of the story, and basically her side is he had a midlife crisis, and basically decided he didn't want to be doing this anymore. Wanted to try something else. Yeah, I don't know. It was the kitchen counter thing. They promised it was an unusually long lead time between when I ordered the product and when it was going to get delivered, and that delivery time came and went, and they still hadn't delivered. And another month went by, and 2 months went by, 2.5 months went by, and I said, when are you going to do it? And they stopped even, when are you going to deliver? And they stopped even lying to me. And so I canceled the order. And then they tried to ding me for restocking fees for something that they never delivered. So yeah, you steal from me, it's over. Yeah, that's unprofessional too, Dean. Unfortunately, it's like that. Some of those uh, estate disputes are become ugly. I'm glad that the one with my parents was really clean. My sister and I just agreed on everything. There were certain things each of us wanted, and there really wasn't a lot of debate between us as to, oh, no, I want that. No, I want that. No, I wanted the clocks. My sister wanted there was an old uh, trunk, basically, that my great grandparents used when they came across the ocean from Sweden. And it had been in my, my, was at my grandmother's house. It was at my mom's house. And now it's at my sister's house. Well, honestly, uh, and I think a lot of the ignoring customers thing came from COVID because people just wanted you to wanted to keep their distance in COVID. And honestly, I think COVID was the best thing that ever happened to Best Buy. I hated going to Best Buy because you couldn't walk into any department without having the salesman latch onto you like a leech and start, "Hey, can I help you?" "No, I'm just looking." Then you walk into the next department, the next salesman locks onto you like a leech. "Oh, can I help you?" "No, I just want to look." I have gotten chased out of the store by that because they just won't leave you alone. But they don't do that anymore. There isn't any more of this chasing you around the store. They leave you alone. If you have a question, you go to them. I like Best Buy a lot better now. Well, see, and maybe that's more of an issue with you too, Lindex. When I go to Home Depot, I generally know what I want. Uh, And so, and if there is something I need help with, I can usually find somebody pretty quick. I have fished. I haven't fished in a long time. I could go. Supposedly, there's some good lake fishing out on the lake out here, but no, I haven't. I haven't done fishing in a long time. It was something I do with my uncle or my dad or my grandfathers, because they were both. My grandfathers are both avid fishermen, and that was always fun to go out and do. Never got. I guess I probably never got into the cleaning of the fish at the end. I never knew how to do that, and that would maybe be an issue for me still to this day. Thanks for stopping in, Gene. See you next week. Yeah, they aren't like that anymore. You don't ever have problems with the salesman chasing you around. No, it's a, oh, sorry. It's a incense burner. So the little incense aromas come out of the side here. It's pretty cool. I actually bought it for Jordan a number of years ago. It got into a point where he was, had started buying incense, but just had like a cheap burner thing that he made. And I said, no, you got to have a good one. So I went on, got him that one. And by the time I got it and brought it over to him, he already had one. So bought one for himself. So I kept it. I think it was something I got at Spencer Gifts. I've seen a little bit of that at Home Depot, but like I said, I'm not generally somebody that needs a lot of hands on. I usually like to be left alone when I'm at Home Depot. If I got a question, I'll come to you. But yeah, that must have been it, Dot. It does look a little like a bong, doesn't it? Never know the odd direction these live streams are going to go. I think there is kind of an issue sometimes with this generation and kind of poor work ethic. I see it. I see it at work. You know, some of the young kids that they don't know how to work. They don't know how to take responsibility. I think my parents kind of thought, hey, what works is what works. Um, they were raised in fairly conservative families on both sides. My mom became more liberal as she got older. Unfortunately, she watched a lot of CNN, and that kind of shaped her viewpoint of the world. Thanks for stopping in, Dot. Great having you, as always. You can say goodbye to Dot by there, Bite. Say bye to Black Dot, Black and White Bite. All right, let's get that nice video in the background there. One of the nice things about the new desk and the bracket mount thing that I have is I can swing the monitor around here and make it easier to see. Used to be like at a parallel to the wall on the over there on my left, but now it's actually kind of pointed at the screen a little bit. You can actually see it. I know, right? Yeah, the technology. I mean, it was funny. Uh, without going too much into detail, we ran out of a product at work a couple days ago, and it was going to be a while before we get it back through our normal sources. But we found an acceptable alternative at Home Depot, and by just looking at the Home Depot app on my phone, I knew that they had 44 of them, and I could tell you what row and what shelf it was on. And so, my boss went to pick it up on Friday night, and I said, "Yeah, just go to this location," and it was right where I said it would be. Didn't always have that mind for numbers. It's funny. You remember a few weeks ago, I cleaned out the guest bedroom and got rid of that file cabinet. About 95% of the paper that was in there. Well, I was digging through one of the file folders just last night, and it was like a bunch of my report cards from elementary school and junior high and high school and college. And it's like I'm looking at this and it's like I was a really marginal student. I mean, I didn't really, make anything of myself until I got into the CD world. Even in college, I didn't do very well. Yeah, that's sort of a mentality that we have with kids today, unfortunately. I've often speculated that I might be on the autism spectrum somewhere. I was diagnosed as hyperactive when I was young. We didn't really have ADD or any of those things. Well, I was in the right place too in the CD world. I really enjoyed that. Unfortunately, the happiest I ever was at the first company I worked for because that was just a fun company. I'd made so many moves in that company and got to do so many fun things. One of the things I really liked about that place is they were very R&D oriented. Somebody came in with some weird idea they wanted to try. These guys were going to help them. Um, and so I got to do all sorts of really, really fun things um, over there, and that was great. When I went over to Warner Brothers, I never had as much fun because it was just a business, just crunching the parts. And even there, I did some good things for the company. I made my division profitable for the first time in the company's history by bringing in an additional revenue source. And that wasn't one of those something I knew. It was someone I knew. But yes, I'm definitely in the right place now. I'm very happy with the company I work for right now. I like what I do. It's hard work. I'm exhausted at the end of the days, but I like that I have 3 or 4 day weekends. I like the fact that I don't mind the 12-hour days, 14-hour days because it's better sometimes just to get in there, and once you're in there, just stay there and be there for a while. And it's those 12-hour days that basically the whole day, my entire life revolves around the job, and that's what gives me days like this where my whole life revolves around what I want to do. But even in academia, you're not allowed to have strict rules anymore. You can lose your job if you say the wrong thing. Well, we're getting close to the end, aren't we? Yeah, it's a high stress job because the requirements are of doing the job well are very exacting. Disney was actually pretty stress free. It was a fun job. I would have loved working for Disney for the rest of my life if I could have made a living doing it. But management didn't would not allow that to happen. And at some point, you just got to say, okay, enough. Yeah, but that conformance isn't that much anymore. doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, look who's come back. Well, and for the first time in a very, very long time, I consider myself friends with my boss. You know, I that probably hasn't happened. I mean, I like my direct boss at Warner Brothers. He was a good guy. I like my direct boss at DMI. He was a good guy. But can't say that about Disney. Can't really say that about ODC. Let's see what else was there. I mean, I guess I was on pretty good terms with my boss at Media Mastering, but just Disney. Disney, I they didn't like me, they didn't respect me, and honestly, I didn't respect them either. I didn't see anything that made them worthy of my respect. I actually had one of my managers at Disney ask me to do something that he'd asked somebody else to do, my lead, and he told me, "Well, I'm going to have you do it because I don't think this other guy will do it." And then my lead caught me doing it, asked me what was going on, and I'm muttering under my breath. It's like, why did you make me do this? And I actually ended up telling them they told me to do it because they didn't think you would. And I'm sorry, they shouldn't have said they shouldn't have said that to me because you're my lead and they're your boss. If they got a problem with you, they need to be talking to you. They shouldn't be telling me about it. That's unprofessional. And that's just not how you do it. But I didn't see anybody in the management that I interacted with that seemed like they knew what they were doing. And that was in part why I couldn't respect the place. It seemed like the management team just became an old folks' home for performers that couldn't dance anymore. Um, Honestly, the strawberry plants that I planted last year survived. They're still in that one planter, so maybe they're going to be one of those things that come back every year, and I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. So I'm going to leave them in there, and I did really well with the high density growing of the tomatoes and that little scaffolding thing. So I'm going to do tomatoes again this year, although I want to do all the big tomatoes. I don't want I had a whole bunch of little tomatoes and they were so plentiful, I just couldn't keep up with them. But I like the big tomatoes, the big like beefsteak tomatoes. So I'm going to plant a lot of those this year. And we probably got to get pretty close to doing that now because we're getting into that season. It's about time to start. But I was really surprised that the strawberries lasted. Well, they keep making movies that nobody wants to watch. That's part of the problem. This latest Snow White debacle. I mean, eventually they're gonna get to the point where they either figure out what it is that people want to see, or they're gonna go out of business. Disney is not too big to fall. No, I didn't get a lot of strawberries. In fact, I don't think I got any that were edible. But hopefully, as the plants get bigger, they'll be more successful and more productive. Like I said, if the strawberries keep living, I'll continue to let them. And I didn't do anything last year to protect them. You know, it got cold here, but they still made it, and most of the plants are still alive. Well, also working at Disneyland and having constant access to the park, I'm over it anyway. I've been on every ride in that park, and that's it. I'm good. I don't have any need to go there again. In fact, it's funny. Disney considers that I retired. They didn't consider that I got angry and quit. And so, as far as they're concerned, they still think they're sending me Disneyland tickets from time to time. I haven't gotten them in a number of years. I don't. Last time I got them, I think, is when I was at the apartment, and I don't think they know I moved. But it's funny. The other lead at work also worked at Disney, and she says, "Well, if you ever get the tickets, I'll take them." It's like, well, you know what? Whatever. Maybe. Yeah, I wish I could larger tomatoes, but I mean hundreds and hundreds of little tomatoes. You know, the little teeny ones that are like maybe three-quarters of an inch in diameter, the size of a small grape. But I got hundreds and hundreds of those, and I got at the end of the season a fair number of the larger tomatoes. Yeah, see, I don't have a rabbit problem here. Possums, raccoons, I see them from time to time. Deer, but the deer can't get into my yard. It's funny though, I do see deer around here from time to time. One night I was out taking one of my hikes and saw a deer, a small herd of deer across the street, like in a behind a school. Kind of just followed them for a little while. But no, I haven't seen rabbits. We have the squirrels and that kind of stuff. See, I've thought about getting rabbits, but not really hard, seriously, because I'd be concerned some of the bird of prey would take them. I like to feed the local wildlife, but that's not what I'm looking at. Not going there. If Disney went under, Anaheim is in serious trouble because I heard that 80% of Anaheim's revenue comes from Disney and Disney related stuff, the hotels around, uh, the other things that people have built in the area to try and cash in the on the popularity of Disney. If Disney collapses, it's over for Anaheim because all those businesses around the hotels, all that, they'll collapse too. Anaheim has too many eggs in one basket. But then again, I would bet that if Disney went under, the place wouldn't just turn into a wasteland. Somebody else would come in and buy it, and maybe they do better with it. You know, get somebody to come in and buy all the intellectual property, all the property, the physical property. Yeah, I started to do too, Gene. Yeah, I kind of like that too, Lindex. It's fun to go places where something important happened. Like I said a little earlier in the live stream, I've been thinking at some point just getting it out on the road and driving until I find like a historical marker and stop and look at it and figure out what the story is, because there's all sorts of that stuff around here. There's historical markers all over the place. There, you see them all the time. There'll be a sign, historical marker 1 mile ahead, on the right or whatever. Stop and see some of those. Hello, Kim. Pop in right at the end here. How you doing? Ugh. Yeah, well, that's bad parenting. That's parents that want to be their kids' friends, not their parents. And unfortunately, the first generation to grow that way, are adults now. Well, we knew the meaning of the word no. That was the difference. Oh, yeah, wind is really blowing right now. Yeah, I know. That's what it was with my parents. They didn't even have to say anything. It was just the way they looked at you. It's like, oh man, I stepped in it. Meow. You gonna come up here for the end? Huh? Almost over. Wow. In the live stream the same way we started it. Up here, pet and bite. I know. This one blew past. It started really, really slow. In the first 10 minutes, it didn't seem like we were having anything happening. And then, yeah, we had some good conversations today. I enjoyed this one. Yeah, we just hit 2 hours. It blows me away. You think a 2 hour live stream that's just going to take it's going to take so long, but I don't know. Well, I'm going to go to the rock shop after the live stream here. That's on the agenda today. See what they got. They supposedly got a whole bunch of new things in. They want to show me. So um, we'll check that out, and then I'm going to kind of make it up as I go along. Maybe work on the planter a little bit more. I think I got to get out and mow a little bit too. It's going to be the first time mowing this season, and it's getting to the point where it's needed. So probably do that. Make it up as I go along, just like I always do. Thanks for stopping in, Lindex. See you next time. It did fly by today, yeah, didn't it? But that's what happens. I don't want to do it too much and get burned out on it. So we'll pick this up again next week. Thanks, everyone. I had a good time. See you next time. Good night.